to begin by making a couple of comments about the meeting. First of all, please do not Zoom while you're in this room, because when you do, you destroy our ability to record the meeting. The overwhelming, first, there is an exit over there. There is another exit there. So if you need them, those are the two emergency ways out of here. The overwhelming consensus is that strict discipline needs to be observed in board meetings. So I will ask that. Start. Oh, good. Good. I'd like to open a public hearing on the proposed gas station law, which essentially says there shall be no more gas stations built in the town of Lewisburg. Existing ones can obviously continue, but we do not need any more. I've got a couple of letters here. One from Linda Press-Wolf. I support the proposed ban on additional gas stations in Lewisburg. We have ample gas stations in town already. More gas stations are unnecessary and do not mesh with our semi-rural environment. I've got another fairly lengthy one from Ellen Brief in Golden's Bridge. And I am going to some extent, précis it. One amazing quality of driving a car is that it easily transports me the 4 miles in either direction from the town I live in, Golden's Bridge. Somebody should remind us sometime it's only a hamlet. To the many gas stations in the vicinity. No need to fill up my tank at the gas station down the block or around the corner, and no need to displace Precision Auto, the local business that has provided automobile service to its many satisfied customers for 22 years. We do not need to make room for a big oil company's gas station. I support the town board's efforts to amend zoning code 22043.7 in a way that bolsters and maintains local businesses. A moratorium on additional big gas stations in Lewisburg can help to achieve this. The rest of it is in essence a plea for more electric charging stations, which is a very valid plea. Does anybody wish to comment on the proposed legislation?
I just want to thank the town board for all your hard work. Basically, I agree with you, Peter.
Could you state your name, please?
I am
and your
Peter
family?
Cipriano from Vista, New York. Sorry. We own Kopi Home and Garden, and we do rent from Kevin and his partner. So this is putting me in a bad situation, but I think Kevin can do much better things with the Vista market, specifically in regards to the gas station. I know that my local neighborhood is mostly against it, just hearing from people that come into my store. Most of them do not want another gas station in Vista. They want a nice country store, and that can be accomplished. But if we allow a little gas station to go in, it's never going to happen. It's just going to continue being a small, little convenience smart, which is fine if that's what they want. But I know most of us in our little community of our little hamlet Vista are against it. Do we need another gas station down there? Probably not. 11 years ago, I know that Vista Market was a very busy place because they had Powerball and they had all the liquor sales every evening of the week and Sunday. And Connecticut laws were such that they couldn't buy any liquor in Connecticut those times they came in and were purchasing so many things from Vista Market. They have a revenue shortfall. And in order to make up a revenue shortfall, they need to do something. But what needs to be done, I think, is you have to examine the planning board requirements. And allow them to redevelop their location. If the soft costs supersede all the costs of putting a shovel in the ground, it may be an issue. They need to be allowed to do something, but they're scared to because they know it's going to cost so much to accomplish anything. They don't want to. We don't need another business leaving our town because it costs too much to get anything accomplished. I support Kevin, Mike, and Peter on whatever they wish to do. They don't make it so difficult that Vista will lose someone that wants to invest in our community. Small town commercial businesses aren't the enemy. That's it. Have a good night, guys.
Thanks, Peter.
Thank you, Peter. Does somebody else wish to speak? In that case, I'm going to propose closing the public hearing. Do I have a
Peter?
second?
Did you want comments from Zoom or no?
All right, yes, I didn't know we had it.
I didn't know we did either. And somebody asked me earlier today if she'd be able to comment via Zoom. And I said, absolutely, I have no idea. So this doesn't seem equitable. I had a resident ask me earlier today if she would be able to speak via Zoom. And I told her I absolutely had no idea. And so I don't think it's equitable to allow for comments because I told the specific resident that I had no idea. So given that the board didn't have any protocol or policy in place before the meeting, I don't feel comfortable allowing it tonight. Going forward, we haven't even discussed it, but I would be open to it, but we didn't make that decision. Of course, I'm only one person.
I thought my understanding, I guess we didn't explicitly discuss, is that we were carrying over the practice from the last meeting and just changing the location. That's what they.
That was the reason for putting Zoom in place, or else we could have just had the YouTube streaming.
Okay. You want to allow them to talk,
Yes.
right? Anybody else want to allow them to talk? Sorry.
We got to talk loud.
Sorry, I will try to talk louder.
I hear you, Jane. I'm hoping that your friend is on Zoom and hearing this now, and if they want to make a comment, they could do that actually as sort of,
These microphones are on.
these microphones are for Zoom.
Yeah,
Okay.
these microphones are only for Zoom, so you're gonna
Okay.
have to speak up loud.
Okay.
So we just have to speak up louder and maybe we have to take our masks off.
Okay. So I'm just saying that I'm hopeful that the person that inquired with Jane is being on Zoom now, is hearing that, should we make this decision that they could make a comment now.
Okay,
And so I'm okay with
let's allow comments from Zoom. Does somebody wish to comment from Zoom before we close that public hearing?
There are 3 hands up.
Okay.
Um,
let's go.
I'm first asking Jane Preiser to unmute.
Okay.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity to comment. I just wanted to say that I don't have any need or desire for another gas station. I don't know of anyone in my neighborhood who wants a gas station in Golden's Bridge. I'm looking for less development, not more. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jane.
You're welcome.
Now I'm asking Jonathan Monty to unmute. Jonathan?
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Jonathan Monty, Golden's Bridge. I'm asking the town board to vote on the gas station ban. We have plenty of gas stations in town, and it's just seen in Golden's Bridge. We had a gas station, and that void was never filled. So we seem to be fine over here because we're surrounded by gas stations in Katona, Somers, Croton Falls, and also more importantly, it would impact a small business owner who's been here for over 20 years, as Ellen Brief had noted. And that small business owner employs 3 other local people who contribute to the fabric of our community. And also it could impact, as Mr. Cipriano said, Vista, as well as potentially Tater's Garage. I mean, that could end up potentially being rezoned as well. I mean, once upon a time, there was a gas station on Cove Road. And I don't think we need more gas stations. That need seems to have been filled. So thank you. And again, to the board, I hope that you vote for the ban on additional gas stations.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan. Next, I'm asking PJJ, if you could state your entire name and what hamlet.
Patty Jean Jackie Vista.
Okay, you have 2 minutes.
Well, I'm in support of the ban of further gas stations in Lewisboro. Basically for the fact that we have 2 a few feet apart from each other already on 123. Thank you.
Okay.
If there's nobody else, I'd
No,
like,
there is. I have a few more.
okay.
Next, I'm asking William Buck to unmute. William Buck. Okay. I'm asking owner to unmute. If you could please state your full name and hamlet.
Hello, this is Eric Stand here. I live in Golden's Bridge for a long time. I would be very concerned about a gas station where Precision Auto would be in terms of traffic. Pulling out and into that intersection is already problematical. And that would only confuse that light in 3-way intersection. So I would continue the ban on further gas stations, please. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'll ask William Buck one more time to unmute. Okay, it appears William is not there.
I'd like to propose closing the public hearing. Do I have a second? Second. Discussion, all in favor? Aye. I would like to propose adopting the proposed local law number 9 of the year 2021, a local law amending chapter 220 entitled zoning. Essentially, this chapter specifically entitled gasoline stations, service stations is amended to read as follows. Gasoline service stations as defined in this chapter shall be prohibited unless legally permitted and in existence as of July 15th, 2021. However, instead, I better add this, any expansion or other enlargement of a legal gasoline service station use as set forth herein shall be subject to the following and the traditional set of limitations. I'd like to propose that we adopt that law.
I'll second it. Let's discuss.
Discussion?
Yeah, I just want to get Greg's final on this. I know sorry, yeah, I'm sorry. Your comment about there was some pushback from the planning board on some of this.
Dan, speak as loud as you can, because
I'm
it's only
sorry,
for
there's
Zoom.
been
Yeah.
some pushback from the planning board. It's about the only place we had any. I am totally in favor of this unless there's like some Article 78 risk or something like that. Yeah.
The planning board's process, when you consider the zoning amendment, they're required to get the draft amendment for review and comment, and they make their recommendation in the advisory capacity to freely adhere to disregard or something.
So process-wise, we're okay.
And you've heard it, both versions, there's two different versions of the law initially. This is the version that's up for adoption and consideration tonight. And you consider their comments, so you can get copies of it and you can add.
Okay, thank you.
I have a brief comment. I favor this legislation. I think this is a good idea based upon our general business zoning. Any future gas station would go in either Vista or Golden's Bridge. The people of Vista and Golden's Bridge don't want it. They don't want any additional gas stations, and I favor that. The proposal here helps our existing businesses, and in me living in Golden's Bridge for close to 25 years, we've been able to get by without a gas station since the Texaco one closed, I think over 20 years ago. And we're going to be having EV charging stations in Golden's Bridge, and this helps to promote that. Based upon all those interests, I favor this legislation. I'm going to vote for it.
Anybody else? All in favor?
Aye.
Could I get a roll call, please?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
I'd like to move on to a second public hearing. You want to handle this one, Tony?
Sure.
Sorry.
So this
Oak
is,
Ridge Water District improvement.
so we have improvements which we're making to the Oak Ridge Water District for the PFAS mitigation. As part of the process to be able to apply for a certain grant, the Water Infrastructure Improvement Act grant, we need to take certain steps. So we took these steps. They were discussed at the last town board meeting. And this is a public hearing basically to discuss the project, if anyone has any comments related to the project, and the funding behind it. There's also a requirement in there's a town law requirement, it's 202, let me see here, 202B, that requires that whenever there is a infrastructure improvement such as this one, we need to go through these steps. So we've taken these steps at the last board meeting. And part of it is a public hearing. So this is the last step of those 3 steps that we had discussed at the last town board meeting. So basically it's just an administrative prerequisite for going forward when we're ready to move forward. So that's what this is. It's not an obligation to any loans or bonding for financing. It's just the administrative steps that we need in place in order to move forward when the time comes.
Anybody wish to comment? Yes.
Hi, good evening, Marissa Beatty. I live in Oak Ridge. I just want to clarify, you're saying that this is just part of an administrative thing. This is not going to cost any resident of the Oak Ridge Water District or any business an increase in their money.
That's correct.
And is this, you're saying that we're applying for this grant. However, we had a board meeting. I just want to clarify because we know that there's a lot of information
Right.
going around. I want to clarify that the project that you're talking about, this $1.9 million project, is that the same project that you said we are getting this money from Maloney from?
That's correct.
So is it the same grant? I mean, I thought those were two separate.
So, yes, let me explain. So we have that federal funding through Congressman Maloney's office, which if we get, will pay for the majority of the project.
If we
If
get
we get it.
If we get,
correct.
so that's actually, it is not a guarantee.
It's not a
because
guarantee.
People seem
That
to
is
think that
correct.
that's guaranteed money, and I want to clarify.
Yeah, so it's not guaranteed.
It's
but
passed through the House of Representatives is our understanding. Is
Right.
Yes, and it
So-
has to, basically, if you're interested in that money, you should follow whether the budget is passed by the House of Representatives and the Senate.
Right, shouldn't
If it
we,
is not, then it may well be that we don't get that money.
and shouldn't we have you guys, I don't know what you're doing on your end. I know that I'm hearing a lot of things after the fact from our committee tells me one thing and you guys say one thing. So I'm just trying, I'm trying to understand as a resident. Well, we should never expect an increase from this project. This is,
I won't say,
like,
yeah.
where's the money coming from?
So,
What's plan B? 'Cause we
let
had
me
a water
explain that to
district
you.
Meeting and we were told it was gonna cost 1.9 million.
Right.
And now you're saying, well, we're not gonna really charge you, but where's the money coming from? Where's it come
so
from?
we're hoping this Maloney money comes in. But in parallel, we're going to be applying for this Water Infrastructure Improvement Act grant when it's made available in September timeframe, we expect.
And that's
That
through who?
pays,
That's through.
that's to the New York State Environmental Facilities Board.
Okay,
So that pays for 60% of the costs, right? So
just the
60% of the
water treatment
1.9 million. Right. It's the same grant that we use for the trihalomethanes project.
right. So that, and I also wanted to clarify that as well, because some people don't understand that is a previous problem before the PFAS, the TTHM. PFAS
Which-
came after.
Correct.
So these are two separate projects that we're kind of rolling into one.
We're not rolling into one. Trihalomethanes was taken care of with the prior work.
But we still don't we still have an open violation on that?
No,
We're completely closed out.
Yes.
The Department of Health is
That's
satisfied with
correct.
that requirement.
that's correct.
And the committee knows that?
They should.
Okay, because I haven't.
Yeah, I mean, it's not on our radar at this point. Yeah. If anything, the implementation of these GAC filters, the granular activated
Right,
carbon,
which is
will
what I was
further
told
help.
is that it would help because we
Yeah.
weren't still 100% done
Right.
with that. That project is not wrapped up, is what I was told.
It's wrapped up. It's wrapped up. Yeah. And we're actually going through the process of reimbursement. And let me just add, in terms of a third funding, we have the ARPA, the American Rescue Plan, which we're still trying to.
And are we
clarify that.
still going forward and looking for grants for the independent engineering study? Because without a
If
full
there's-
analysis of our system, we can do
Yeah.
we can do the treatment plant. But the hydro flushing is not working. We finished last on the 30th.
It's getting better. It's yeah.
It's 2
But
weeks.
but anyway,
post-flushing
Ma'am,
and we
your-
still
your
have
2 minutes
bad water.
has
It's still
expired.
brown. It's still brown.
Yeah.
So it's not fixed. Peter.
What? With respect to tonight's procedure, there's a two-part process. You're having the public hearing and you're taking the comments on whether or not this particular improvement project is in the public interest, and you'll make a determination by what's known as a public interest order. And then the second step is, if you do that, you authorize up to $1,939,500. You authorize the borrowing
You want to authorize?
up to that amount, and it's a reimbursable, those grants are reimbursable grants. So those are the step two processes for the project.
You understand that if we receive any money,
You're only authorizing the bonds to be issued at your next ban.
okay, Leo told me to hold up.
Okay, so you're just going to do the public interest order
Yes,
tonight?
that's correct. Yes,
Fair
that's
enough.
the public
Okay.
hearing.
Fair enough.
Yes, for the project. Correct. Go ahead, Greg. Do you want to explain?
There generally is a two-step process when there's borrowing authorized for a public improvements project like this. The first is to have a public hearing, and then at the close of that, presumably the board would adopt a public interest order, which would determine that the proposed improvement and the repair of the facilities in the public interest. Thereafter, there is a borrowing authorization, which is not going to be done tonight apparently. for the amount of the proposed improvements. With respect to this project, there are multiple reimbursable grants that we consider on the federal level from the WIA, Water Infrastructure Improvement Act, and maybe other state funding, source of funding also. My understanding is, at the end of the day, you will have to borrow and reimburse from the grants, but we're not going to do that tonight, and I apologize. I thought we were doing both steps.
Does somebody else wish to speak? In that case, I'm going to,
Zoom comments?
One hand just went up. I'm inviting Erica Agro to unmute.
Thank you for the opportunity to comment. Just a quick question. So I understand it's a two-part process and this is the first part of the process. Can you just give us insight into what the second part would be where we make it? So we're saying tonight it's in our interest, the public interest, to move forward with the project. But we're also saying that we're not guaranteed to get the money. And so then we would have to do some type of, bond or ban or whatever if we don't get it. So what does that look like, the next step of the process? When do we get to weigh in on that part? And the bonds, the grants or the funding comes in the form of reimbursement, from what I understand. How do we fund these projects? How do we finance them up until we get that grant money or federal funding?
you don't know me.
I can go.
Okay.
So the servicing of the monies that we spend will come out of the district. So it is going to come out of the whatever fees we collect from the water district, not the sewer district, it's the water. And in terms of the next step, yes, we have to time that. We're waiting to see what happens with the Congressman Maloney money. At which point we will make a decision on whether or not we need to show or put in place a ban resolution to show that we have financing for this project in order to get the WIA grant approved.
And all those steps will be followed.
The bond resolution will require.
And I imagine also
You got to speak up there. So,
the bond resolution require hearing, so it's not going to happen without.
correct, right.
Public input. Right.
The good thing about Senator Maloney is any money he gets us has no, what? Oh, sorry, Congressman Sean Patrick Maloney, is that any money he gets for us is free of any strings, except for one, that we cannot use it to substitute for other grants or loans that we have already got. That's the big string, but it's the only one.
So we want to make sure we get that money first if we're entitled to it.
As opposed to the America Rescue money, whatever it's called, that has more restrictions on it in certain categories, right?
Yes. Okay. All right. Does anybody else wish to speak? Me?
Good on Zoom.
Oh, in that case, I'd like to propose that we close this public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to move on to public comment period number 1, but I would like the resolution to rescind the cannabis law, which is down on the agenda, is no longer on the agenda in that form. It is in fact, we are moving ahead by doing nothing at the moment. but by leaving the current law, the laws that we passed 2 weeks ago in place. And, well, that's what I want to do. I don't know that the board wants to do this, but that's what I want to do. And I then, that would give, if you remember, the board, there was one thing the board was fairly unanimous on, except for me, that they wanted to allow the public a way to become involved in this decision making.
Can I just set the record clear that it was you and me, right? I did not opt for the signature gathering.
I thought we did.
No, I didn't, and everyone thought I did, and you keep making that mistake repeatedly, so it feels like I need to clear the record publicly, and I
Okay.
did. Peter is saying that he was the only one that had the vote to opt in. He's saying all the rest of his
No,
colleagues.
no, I'm not saying that.
Oh, he's
I'm
not saying
saying
that.
I'm the only person who didn't want some form of public involvement. Everybody else was talking about this being the kind of situation where we should allow the public a vote. And I made some weird speech about us not being Switzerland, which didn't allow the women to vote until the 70s. 1973,
I think you,
that we were a representative democracy, and everybody ignored me.
yes, that was your representative democracy last time.
You did ignore me. All right.
Okay, if we're not gonna hold rules of order, I don't think that I don't feel safe in the room, and we're not going to, but unless we're gonna hold rules of order, I need to exit for my own safety and for the safety of everybody here. So are you going to hold rules, I'm asking all of my colleagues if you're gonna hold rules of order,
Okay.
and I'm asking for a yes or a no.
I'm not quite sure why we broke the rules of order.
What are you talking
Because
about?
I answered you.
No, because we're going back and forth with the audience.
Okay, sorry.
No, I don't want to, sorry, I actually want an assurance from my colleagues that we're going to try and hold to the rules of order. And if I can't get that assurance, then I feel like it's not a safe enough place to conduct a meeting.
Okay,
Yes, let's look at the rules of order.
all
Okay,
right.
Tony agrees,
Okay,
Dan agrees,
all right.
Peter agrees.
Okay.
Do you agree, Rich?
Yeah.
Great, thank you. To hold the
Cannabis.
rules of order. No, to hold the rules of order.
No,
That's what we agreed to.
all right. What I am trying to explain to people is that the agenda item, which is simply to rescind or repeal the cannabis laws, is not probably going to come up as it is on the agenda.
Please don't respond.
Now, I've got a few comments to, all right, public comment period number 1. Who wishes to speak?
Peter, can I ask a question?
Yes.
So for the public hearing number 2 regarding Oak Ridge Water, I have that you motioned Tony second to close.
Yes,
Then you're doing nothing?
we're doing nothing after we close
Okay,
the public hearing.
okay.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Opening the public comment period number 1. Who wishes to speak?
Where are we with what you were just raising?
All I was trying to tell people is that if they were going to comment on the cannabis legislation as it appears on the agenda, I doubt if that's going to.
So
All right, so we're gonna-
we're not actually considering a new law to repeal the prior law.
We're gonna swing back to that after
Yes.
completion of the public comment, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Rob Cummings. I'm a South Salem resident, and I don't need a response. But you said at the beginning of the meeting that you would not accept or do any back and forth until the end of the meeting for the polling of the board. And not that it wasn't informative. I'm not looking for a response. So I just wanted to make a comment that you stated something at the beginning and 10 minutes later you did the opposite. So that said, I just wanted to talk about the playground renovation project I went to on Friday, which was amazing, very well attended. And tons of people there, all stripes, everyone was having a great time. And there was a band up on the bandstand, and I got up, what I do, I take pictures, and I noticed there was a guy shredding on the guitar, and he was in a wheelchair. And then I looked at the bandstand and saw there's no ramp on that wheelchair, for the wheelchair on the bandstand. I thought we have a ramp on the bandstand, because what happened was when his group was done, the next group came up. He just kind of rolled himself to the back of the bandstand and just sort of watched from there. They were all his friends, but he wasn't playing. So I thought it would be a nice thing to put a wheelchair ramp on there. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Next. Oh,
Hi, Martha Goodman, Lewisboro Hamlet. Two things I just want to clarify. So you're going to talk about the cannabis law and we'll have a chance to comment. I didn't understand all the, I guess you can't answer my unclear. So if I need to say something, I'll say something now. Otherwise, I just want to say, I really think we need to address the audio issue. The last couple times it's been impossible to listen to the YouTube. So one time I wasn't able to attend, last time I was able to attend, but I couldn't hear in person either. It wasn't loud enough. Some people don't enunciate clearly and it's not, the fault, it's just the way it is. So if we could mic this or something, so everyone in the room can hear, everyone at home can hear, and they don't have to show up here, and anyone who needs to listen later can hear. I think that's huge in terms of accessibility for everyone. And number one, you have to be able to hear what's going on. Otherwise, we're all silly. So thank you for that. And I know you guys are trying hard.
there being no, are there any comments?
I do have one. We're done here. I think you have somebody there. Peter?
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear.
Hey guys, Matt Golia. I live in South Salem. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you again this evening. At the last meeting, I made you aware of some issues of recent abuse and restraints in the special education department at KLSD. And I requested the town board to write to the BOE demanding a formal response to the goals of our group. I'm aware that the supervisor president had a long discussion. So I'd like to publicly thank the board for following through with that. Further, I'm happy to announce that one of our group's goals of installing cameras in self-contained classrooms where students are minimally verbal will soon become a bill sponsored by Assemblyman Chris Burdick. And we are hoping to gain additional bipartisan support in the weeks to come. I'm also happy to let you know that we have received support across the political spectrum, including current town board members, along with candidates for both the Lewisboro and Bedford town boards. Unfortunately, the response from the BOE was disappointing. We still have not received a response to our specific goals from either the superintendent or the KLSD. While we had about 25 people attend a summer BOE meeting in person, reading letters, we were told that we were a small group disconnected from the happy community at large. We were told our opinions are coming from only a few people and did not represent those of the broader community. So I'm here tonight to ask the community at large to lend us your support. I ask you to please watch the most recent BOE meeting and judge for yourselves. Unfortunately, this is a big ask as the meeting is over 3 hours. To that end, we are working on a more easily digestible edit of the video that's about 10 minutes. So please be on the lookout for that. I would ask you to watch the emotional yet fact-based speeches by the parents along with the response from the BOE and the superintendent. Further, I would ask your support at the next BOE meeting, which is on August 19th, whether that involves showing up to support these parents or reading a few lines of support or writing to the BOE. Please show them that we are not just a small group of parents disconnected from the broader community. Please show them that you care about all of our kids, including the most vulnerable children, the disabled children who cannot
Sir,
speak for
do you hear
themselves.
the bell?
Children like my son, who is 6 years old, autistic and minimally verbal. He cannot tell me how his day was at school because he has no voice, but I have a voice. And I'm asking you all to share your voices to speak up for me, for my son, and the other parents. Thank you for your time.
You had somebody, right?
I do. Leah Pizer, I'm asking you to unmute. Leah Pizer.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, you have 2
Hi,
minutes.
thank you. I'm still not clear. You are taking the comments now. We're not on the cannabis? Well, I'll just speak then.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to say that I think it was really very obvious that, and I think it's obvious to most people that that agenda item that was on there until there was a bit of a circus on Facebook isn't being discussed tonight because it was legally erroneous and just simply wrong. So I feel like to be up there and pretend it's anything different is really disingenuous. It worries me that the board doesn't know the basic understanding of town law. This is why we elect you. It's frightening to me that we could be placed in legal jeopardy when you're trying to pass resolutions that make no sense, or even put them on an agenda. And for the town board member who says I don't know to people or gives misinformation to people, then I think it's your jobs to figure that out and give us the correct information instead of just taking an item off. So think on that, please.
Okay, thank you. I have one more. Peter, Cynthia Ryan, I'm asking you to unmute.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi there, thank you. Hi, Cynthia Ryan, South Salem. I want to say we sent the board a letter. By we, I'm meaning myself, Dawn, and Tisha, the Juneteenth organizers. We sent you an email after the July 12th meeting thanking you for explaining the rules, maintaining authority, and running a respectful meeting. We hope that was going to turn things around, and this would now become a unified, respectful, and supported community and town board that can be representative of this town. Unfortunately, at the last meeting, there were 2 incidents of harassment towards residents that occurred that are not documented in the video or transcript, nor acknowledged or effectively handled by the town board at the meeting. We ask that the meeting minutes be annotated to record these incidents, and the town board takes accountability, takes control of the meeting, follows their own rules to maintain a respectful meeting and ensure the safety of their residents at meetings. Incident number 1, you let a known agitator speak when residents are typically not allowed to speak. You let the situation escalate and the resident harassed and cursed out other residents in a threatening manner. The police officer went up to the harassing resident, but then retreated, allowing the resident to continue to speak. You let him continue to speak, never apologized to the residents who were verbally attacked, and never reiterated the respect that should be shown by all at a town board meeting. Incident number 2, a resident harassed and threatened a Black resident. One of the Juneteenth organizers who received a resolution at at the previous meeting, and she had to ask for a police escort to.
We enforcing the time?
Is up, Cynthia.
Okay, thank you. Keep
sorry.
everyone safe, please. Thank you.
I have Jeremy. I'm asking you to unmute.
Hi, sorry, Jen. I'm gonna have to speak during public comment number 2. I can't speak at the moment. Thanks.
Okay. That's it.
All right, I'd like to close the, oh, sorry. Who?
We should have people sign in. rather than she talk about it.
Hi, everyone. I'm Letitia Stapleton from Golden Bridge. And at this moment, I'm being recorded. So since I'm going to be recorded by the known agitators who use, let me just start by this. Juneteenth, we did it on our own. The board did not do it for us. So please do not include that the board did this for us. We did it on our own. The other agitators harassed another member of my team, Dawn, and asked her, what is she gonna do about it? Meet me outside and that she assaulted us. And that was totally disrespectful because Dawn sat in her seat, never got out of her seat.
Ma'am, can you stay seated?
Who am I addressing? I'm addressing the person who wanted to-
Hey, stop. This lady is speaking and she's the only lady speaking.
So my whole thing is, I wanted this town to be peaceful, united. I did not want the difference. I wanted us to all work together. I don't want the division. I know we can do it. We don't need, there might be some that don't like me, you don't have to like me. You don't. But I'm here and I just want you to know that we can all work together and I would appreciate it if you please stop with all the negativity. We don't need this. We need to be positive. We are a beautiful Lewisboro town. We can do this. So I'm not going to allow no more agitation, no more talk down on and picked on, and I'm not going to allow it. So I'm hoping that whoever it is still filming me and where I'm coming from with this. And I really thank you for understanding where I'm coming from. I am a Black woman and I'm not going nowhere. Thank you.
Peter, I have one more person, Barbara Mangione.
Okay.
Barbara, I'm asking you to unmute, please.
How is that, Jenna?
Fine.
Okay, I just want to say one thing about the lack of cohesiveness to the agendas is quite frustrating, to be quite honest. The agenda is put out late Friday afternoon, at which point there really is no way to ask anybody questions unless we email them, which I tend to do, but I really don't like doing that. So because I was a little confused about the intent to overturn the cannabis law, I did reach out to some board members who did get back to me. I also reached out to Chris Burdick and had several conversations with him, as well as somebody else I know up in Albany. And quite frankly, I'm still very confused as to what's going on with that item. So I'm just asking in the future, we really need to do a much, much better job as to how things get onto the agenda, how they're worded, and where we can find information about them. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
Thank you, Barbara. That's it, Supervisor?
No, the agenda.
On here.
Hi, I'm Jack Cronstein. I live in South Salem. I just want to make it clear to myself. The last meeting, the meeting before where we discussed the cannabis law, the town board voted 3-2 to opt out of the cannabis law. Okay. Has anything changed? Is that where we are?
We will answer that when we get to that item on the agenda.
Oh, I thought we did.
We did, then you said that we were gonna discuss it after the public comment? Okay, so were we discussing it next after this public comment is done?
No, well, the next thing is the veteran is we've got all kinds of things and then we get to it.
But please just finish your comment.
Well, I can't finish my comment until I hear whether or not we've changed. Have you guys changed your minds? I don't, because clearly what's going on, and maybe some other people feel the same way, I don't know.
And maybe
But-
the town board feels the same.
And
way.
maybe the town board feels the same
So
way.
we've got to sort it out.
And
That's
we're
all.
going to do that when?
Sorry.
When it comes up on the agenda.
Yeah, I thought there were
Please,
four
sir,
people
just
talking about the
make a
cannabis
comment.
law.
Make a comment and we're receiving those comments now.
Okay, I tell you
It's
what,
not
I'm gonna go
dialogue.
sit down. Okay, I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna wait for you guys to tell me where we stand, where as a community we stand. I'll wait.
Hi, Carol Cernak from Farby Farm in South Salem. I would please, part of the lack of communication issues with the town board and the citizens is that the minutes and the recordings are not updated on the website. If we can't get to the knowledge, then we can't participate in a proper manner at these meetings. So, that would be very helpful. Committees, all departments. Thank you.
Glenda Faber, Cross River. If this is a Jeopardy game where we have to give the questions before the answers, I don't understand how we're supposed to ask questions before we have the information. Is it that difficult to have the comment period after you discuss it so we know what to ask? It doesn't make any sense. If the point is to obscure what the people should know, you're doing it perfectly. But if the point is to allow understand what you're doing, then the comment period should be after. It's that simple. Thank you.
I propose that we close the public comment period and move on to communications. Discussion, all in favor, aye.
Well, I just have a comment. It should, if something comes up in our discussion, people should have an opportunity to comment on that narrow issue, depending on how it shakes out.
I don't think this is the time for that conversation.
Let's put those.
Well, I'm just making it, all I'm doing is making a comment. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It's discussion, so I
let's-
made my comment. It's
Yeah.
over.
All right, I've got a few communications. First of all, I don't know how many people have noticed, because I only noticed once it was in the trash. A note from Verizon telling us that mandatory 10-digit dialing would be effective October 24th, 2021. That means that in order to dial me at the townhouse, for instance, you're going to have to dial 1-914-763-3151, even if you're in the 763 area, but certainly if you're in the 914 area. That is new, and as far as I'm concerned, is somewhat of a pain in the neck.
And just to be clear, that's only for Verizon subscribers.
Yes.
So if you have a Verizon phone service.
Next thing, County Executive George Latimer has announced the termination of the affordable housing settlement in Westchester. After 12 long years, Westchester County is finally able to close the book on the affordable housing settlement. We recently received notification from U.S. District Judge Denise Cote, or Cote, Denise Cote, that Westchester County was in substantial compliance with the consent decree and a federal housing monitor was no longer needed. We did not do this alone, we being the county, and we have to thank our nonprofit housing organizations, the local municipalities, and many developers for all the help they gave us. He goes on to point out that there is a huge need for affordable housing. More than 11,000 units are needed in Westchester and are needed to satisfy the demand from primarily from young families and seniors on fixed incomes. Next, we have been working since 2014, believe it or not, on trying to clear up the 684 transportation corridor. Because at the moment, as most of you are aware, the traffic pours through Mead Street, Route 22, Route 121, Route 138, Fountain Road, Main Street, Main Street, South Salem. All of those roads are getting heavy traffic because of the traffic jam on Route 84. And there is every incentive to drive around that, and that's what people are doing. As a result of that, the towns of Bedford, Lewisboro, North Salem, Somers, and Southeast got together and formed a consortium to encourage the MTA, not the MTA, the DOT to do a complete study of that, which costs a significant amount of money, although not maybe in their terms. And we were successful in doing that study, and it is now on our website. It'll cost us about 2.1 million to do the whole thing. Obviously, well, it'll cost us, the taxpayers of the United States, 2.1 million, billion. Most of that, about the only people who can afford to finance that is the federal government. One of the advantages is Sean Patrick Maloney is in fact on the Transportation Committee. And secondly, the Appropriations Committee in the House of Representatives has the representative who represents Richfield and that area on it. Those two people could be really helpful. Anyway, having done this study, the next stage is to work on trying to get the money to make it happen. Next thing, Senator Harkin has been trying, as I have for some time, to get improvements made to Route 35 in Cross River. We've got a nice letter here from the Department of Transportation saying at the moment we failed, we will go back and try again. I've been trying on this for years now. And every time I think we're getting somewhere, they change the regional head. Next thing, the consent agenda. I'm going to propose that we approve the minutes, the building department report, and the police department report. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion.
Oh, there was a proposal that we take a look at those minutes and make sure there's references to the stuff that was discussed tonight.
The minutes you're approving are from July 12th.
Oh,
The
never mind.
minutes they're referring to
Or
are July
the last one.
26th.
Got it.
I have not done those yet.
Okay,
I was on vacation.
good.
And, yeah.
Okay. For the talk, then fine.
Can I get a second?
Yeah.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to move on to asking John Lemke, who I've seen here, to give us an update on the Veterans Committee.
Good evening. Thank you for having me, and thank you to everybody here. The community has really been a huge support to my committee, and I appreciate it. Any veterans here? What branch? Maybe? Okay. Anybody else? Did I miss anybody? I know Adam's here, Marine Corps. Okay.
Police officer.
Officers and addicts.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good. What branch? Army, okay. And we have another allied country vet here too.
That's right. You've got one right here. at the
Right.
Center of the table. I don't know if he knows we're talking about him, but.
Yes, but we don't salute flags, we salute the guns.
That's right. That's right.
I
So I promise you an enjoyable few minutes here. And this way, because this is just as much for the community really as it is for the board. I'm not asking for anything tonight, and I'm not asking for permission for anything tonight, but I just want to let everyone know what the committee is doing. We've been really busy. We got a lot of items on the agenda, and I'll do it in chronological order. Currently, in fact, if you look at the flagpole out there now, there's a Coast Guard flag. We have a flag for every branch of the service, and we fly it for a week during their founding birthday. First one was Army, second one's Coast. Next month we'll do Air Force. And I did get presented by the Goldens Bridge Fire Department a Space Force flag, which I didn't have. I doubt we have anybody in town working for the Space Force, but I'd love to meet them. Second, the Military Tribute Banner Project. You all aware of that from last year? That is a go. My student, Andrew Lucasen, is back on it. We're only a few weeks away. It's going to be up by Labor Day. We're going to keep them up till Veterans Day. And there's a little time left. I've been doing a lot of advertising for new flags because we got a little tight last year. I have talked with all the fire departments, and they're going to hang their banners of their veteran members at their fire departments. So it looks nice. Goldens Bridge already has started that. It makes a little more room, and I think it looks good in town to have them in different places. I know South Salem's going to buy a few more also. Item 3, this is a good one. We have a new flagpole scheduled to be installed at Onatru before the law, which I think is pretty good news. It was broken about 5 years ago. I put out a email to my immediate committee and resources and had it funded within an hour. I couldn't believe it. It was quite amazing, and it was funded by the Vista Fire Department and in full total. So I'm really, really pleased about that. I was in touch with the Vista Boy Scouts. They really want to be involved. They're going to be involved, and I want to name it the Vista Boy Scout flagpole and have them, because they've done a lot for vets. They have turkey dinner every year at Veterans. And so they'll be recognized by the pole. We already have one veteran flagpole. So they'll have their flagpole, and the fire department will be recognized for the donation. I also plan to have the Boy Scouts do the first flag raising at the library fair. I've gotten the okay for that, probably do it right around the opening, 15 minutes before, 15 minutes after, whichever works. They'll have the MC announce it. We'll have veterans there, the word. We'll have the Boy Scouts there. We'll have the Vista Fire Department there. And also contacted by the new Kids Community Club. We just had the social, the ice cream social, and they want to interact with us. They plan to be there, part of the ceremony, maybe even lay a wreath and have the kids talk to us. So I'm looking forward to that. Okay, item 4. We're going to have a first Veterans Social Gathering. It'll be a cookout hosted by the Lewisboro Lions Club, Thursday, September 23rd at the Town Park Pavilion. So please spread the word. I will get out announcements in Facebook and use the town resources for that. But that'll be a good time to get feedback from the vets, to gather and talk. We've really never done that. So 2 years in existence with veterans together. And fifth item, that the new kids community started talking to me about Veterans Day. So forced me to even start planning Veterans Day. And I'm glad I did. I've talked with the fire department, South Salem. Breakfast is a go. I've talked to Doreen, Girl Scouts, and the cookie delivery will be a go. Still working on the ceremony and torn between whether to have it at the fire department or at the townhouse. We'll discuss it and see what works best. And last, we have a Project Horizon, which is moving forward by Mark Radford. This project is to help high school students with career choices in the military by talking with John Jay High School military alumni. So it's another opportunity for us to have vets talk to the school and have to make those career choices. So I really like that one. So we're getting down. We're not just a bunch of old guys telling stories anymore. We're actually meeting the young people. So that's it. Questions, comments?
Thank you, John.
Thank you very much.
All set.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you very much to the Vista Fire Department and the Vista Boy Scouts. I'd like to move on to the cannabis law. This was a total screw up for which I have to take responsibility. Am I allowed to say screw up? My only defense is that essentially every town in northern Westchester and Putnam made the same error. Greg, could you grab a microphone and explain roughly how we made fools of ourselves?
When the cannabis law was passed, there's a provision that any legislation to opt out of the 2 licenses that the state gives the localities that option needed to be passed by the end of the calendar year. Those are for on-site consumption locations and for retail dispensaries. In an effort to simplify the process, the laws were subject to a permissive referendum. There was a calendaring date that was put into play with all of the Westchester towns that I dealt with and the Putnam towns. That basically said, if you had it passed by July 19th, you could get it on the November ballot. And it could be part of a general election proposition rather than a special election. So the board passed theirs on July 12th, and it starts this 45-day period for referendum, which expires on August 27th. If we had the petition for referendum, we could then get the proposition to the Board of Elections before September 2nd, and we make our 60-day window to get on the November ballot. After the laws were passed, the respective county boards of elections in Putnam and Westchester sent notices out to the localities and indicated that all propositions had to be in their hands by August 5th rather than September 2nd. Which doesn't deprive any of the persons who would walk petitions of the right to vote on the laws themselves, but it would probably subject it to a special election rather than being able to get on the November ballot.
Greg, that was communication from the Westchester County BOE.
And Putnam, it was kind of a statewide thing.
And the state, it was the state BOE.
Right, and it went down to the local BOEs and everybody was notified that you had to have the proposition on the ballot before August 2nd, on or before August 2nd. That was the deadline, 90 days before the election. Myself, I made some inquiries. The Board of Election would not do what's known as a placeholder, where we could theoretically write the proposition, and if we got a petition filed, it would just stay on the ballot. They wanted it concrete by the 2nd. So at this point, you were subject at least to having a special election. But the board is required and determined from looking. It's probably possible to do it on November 22 ballot as well, rather than have the town bear the cost of a special election on a town-wide basis, which you have to hire the workers. You may have to provide some of the balloting, depending on what the Board of Elections is able to provide, and the boxes for the actual holding of the ballots rather than the machines. So what happened here with the rescission of the law was not going to be a resolution to rescind anything. I drafted a proposed local law rescinding the opt-out for the retail dispensaries, which my understanding is the board's not going to act on tonight. So we're exactly where we were on July 12th, meaning that the board has opted out of retail dispensaries, the board has opted out of on-site consumption locations. And if there's a referendum filed by August 27th on one or both, then there will be a proposition on the ballot. Presumably that's going to be the November 22 ballot if possible. Okay. If we have to do a special in between because we're directed by the Board of Elections.
By November 22, we're talking about the year.
2022.
The November 2022 ballot.
Yes,
So
sorry.
having another election 2 weeks later. So November 2022 ballot. Oh, no, sorry. No Thanksgiving election. It's just November of 2022 ballot, unless the Board of Elections somehow directs those localities to have a special, which I don't necessarily anticipate that. It will all be dictated as to whether or not petitions are filed on either of the laws and certified by the clerk's office. And they withstand any challenge if there are any challenges. And then the referendum process can take place thereafter. Good enough?
And Greg, the petitions have to be filed by which date?
I have August 22nd, 7th to 7 as our 45-day window. We passed the law on the 12th, exclusive to that day. That's August 27th.
Even if we're pursuing the November 2022.
No, that's plenty of time.
Yes, yeah, no, yes, we have to collect the signatures by August 27th for it to ever get on any ballot. We don't have additional time just because we want to put it in the November 2022, nor do we have any assurance that it will wind up on the November 22 ballot.
it might go to a special election. There's no commission formed yet. So we actually don't know the rules. So I think we should do the same.
So Greg, could you just let everybody know what's the amount of signatures which would have to be submitted by the August 27, 2000?
I don't know the exact figure. It's 10%
It's
of
about
the,
600. We don't know exactly how many. It's 10% of the gubernatorial.
Well, that's what I'm trying to get clarification from council on, if we have a number on that. So it's 10% of the amount of people who voted in the last gubernatorial election?
which is 2018, that's correct. And once you have a petition filed, you're going to review the petition for its facial sufficiency. And that one of the points of review is going to be what the minimum number of signatures are.
Just want to get it out there so everybody knows the numbers we're talking about.
Where can we go for that number, actually, since we?
Oh, we can go to the Board of Elections.
You could probably go to the,
So who can go to the Board of
I can.
Elections? Thank you.
you could probably go online to the 2018 election
Peter
results.
just said he would do it. Thank you.
So this certainly is a mess. And I regret my vote last time because I thought there was plenty of time to do this and then exercise the petition option. And then we're told all of a sudden it's August 2nd. So we said, all right, forget it. There's no way you're going to do it by August 2nd. And all of a sudden now we understand, well, you know, August 27th. And again, all of a sudden there's no time. So, you know, it's not like, I don't think anybody here, it's like, you know, we definitely need to have a dispensary in town, you know, but my position is remains the same, that I don't feel there should be legislated against that. It's no different than your corner liquor store. And, you know, there's such a history here that, you know, I would rather make a statement that we understand that it's, you know, it's okay. Maybe not something you personally want to do, but it's okay and it's legal. But the mechanics, you know, are completely a mess. And so I think at this point we just let things take their course, and we may have some new actions with the coming year when things are a little bit clearer. So that's where I am.
I have had a long conversation with the key individual in the Board of Elections. And she has made it clear to me that they will not assist us in any way to hold a special election. We will have to do the whole thing. And yes, she admits that there are an enormous number of towns which are in the same mess as we are. And but that's how it is. And that's basically the answer I've got from it. I personally believe that the most practical way forward is for the town board to do absolutely nothing until a valid petition changing the law or laws is presented. At that time, we could place the revised law or laws on the November 2022 ballot. The problem with that is we can't guarantee how the Board of Elections will react to that. We don't control it. The big advantage of this approach is that it does what the majority of the board originally wanted. It lets our voters decide. Remember that the cannabis law allows us to opt in at any time, whereas opting out must be done by the end of 21. End of my comments on that subject. Does anybody else wish to speak?
Yes, I agree with what the supervisor proposed. The bottom line is people are getting additional time, as it turns out, to submit a petition through August 27th is the date that I heard. And then we can go from there. So effectively, the voters have additional time to submit the petition. And that's what I wanted it to be. And that was my view before, and that's where we're at now. So I don't understand how the resolution to rescind got on the agenda in that terminology, which was confusing to me, but now that we've addressed it this way, so I'm ready to move forward on that, and I agree with the supervisor's recommendation.
Any further comments, discussion? I accept responsibility for the score. Next item. We have, as you must all have noticed, a mass of dead ash trees around town. We have a proposal, what we put out to bid to see what we could get in terms of ash tree removal. What we have got is only one bid. Only one company was interested in bidding for various reasons. One, they're already busy. Two, they hate this group of tree cutters hates prevailing wage, which we have to pay. Or we have to make them pay. Basically, the bid we've got is $66,180 for the removal of roughly 50 trees on 3 town roads, which are judged by the highway department to be the 3 worst in terms of dead trees likely to fall in a minor windstorm. And those 3 roads are Richfield Avenue, Dingy, and the part of Dingy in Lewisboro. We're not going to be kind to Town Ridge and do their section, and Woodward, all of which are looming disasters.
Can you say the figure again? 53.
Roughly 50 trees for $66,180. Now, for that amount of money, they would remove the debris and take it away, as well as cut the tree. For 5,100 or something less, they would just cut the trees. At the moment, we don't have sufficient space to store the trees until they get chipped. Because at the same time, remember, we have got Vista Tree, who's on constant contract with the town, and the town highway department going around and taking the ones which they think are particularly looming around town. And they're putting those in the Salt Dome
Those are
area.
trees that are identified by the
Highway department. Yes.
So there would not be the overlapping.
No, there would not be any overlap. But we have got, probably everybody in this room has heard the fact that we are anticipating a considerable number of windstorms between now and the end of October. I think we need to take the most action we can to get rid of as many dead trees which look as though they're going to block roads. And I would like to propose that we accept Elmstead's bid proposal of $66,180.
I will say it makes more sense. I mean, it makes more sense to do the 66 than the 61. Because we're looking at like $1,324 per tree as opposed to like 1,200 and something per tree. I didn't finish off the math. But I also do, I mean, I understand the position we're in, and I understand that companies are busy and they hate prevailing wages, but this does seem expensive.
You've got another idea.
I don't.
That's okay, it does seem expensive. It
So-
is an additional amount of money.
So I assume, like, how did we go out to look for firms doing this?
We,
I
highway department contacted a fairly large number, of firms that we would have expected to bid. Plus, they contacted the firms that are already working in town for NICEAG, hoping that they would see it as a nice additional little thing which they could do and make money from. The answers were no, and no, and no, ad infinitum.
So they just wouldn't even provide a bid.
No. Now, remember, it's not so surprising when you look at this area and see the number of dead ash trees.
Yeah.
What, Gene, what about it? Seems expensive to you because we're talking about approximately 50 trees, which if they're large trees, my understanding the proposal includes taking them down as well as removing them. They're not going to be going to the salt dome. They're going to be taken off, to wherever they got to go.
So I said, I think that the 66 makes more sense than the 61 because it's about $100 per tree to clean it up. And given the labor that takes, we'd have to pay our own highway department and the labor. So I think that the 66 makes more sense than the 61. I'm talking from personal experience. It takes about $800. I paid about $800 to cut down and remove the trees. So $1,300 is expensive to me. And there was agreement from Peter and the audience. So I don't feel alone in that assessment.
Yeah, it sounds like part of the difference is the prevailing wage requirement, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, we pay, I've had similar experience where I paid $800 to $2,000 to take down a tree, but yeah, it's not prevailing wage, right? So I think you have to factor that in.
And this is a fairly labor-intensive process.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, it can be, in my own experiences with my HOA, we've spent many thousands of dollars in tree removal over the years. So it can be, an individual tree can even be a lot more than that. My only concern is not approving this is that the proposal is not specific as to a start date or an end date. The point that you brought up was very important, Peter, that we should move forward on this as quickly as we can, except the agreement that I'm looking at says that the earliest possible start date would be October of 2021, and it doesn't indicate when it's going to be completed. I think that we should tighten this up so there's a commitment to a specific start date and when it's going to be completed. There's no
Okay.
end date on this agreement.
He specifically refuses to do that, although I have told Peter Ripp or asked Peter Ripp to work with him as soon as we've agreed this to try to move that date closer.
No, I agree with what you're saying. I think there should be a commitment by the contractor that there's a start date and an end date, because if they're on the face of this, that the earliest possible start date is October of 2021. If we're trying to remove these trees and get them down with the possibility of storm season, hurricane season coming, then this is not committing to starting until the fall.
What scares me, in some ways I agree with you. But if we do that, we're going to delay the whole process.
I don't want to delay it. I want to start it as soon as we
And
can.
that's why I think we need to approve this and then work to improve on it.
Can we get a commitment that he removed these 50 trees by December 1st?
Well, we can try, yes, and I could try that, but I don't. This is, remember, the highway department's negotiation, not mine.
Did you say Peter had tried really hard and was not able to get him to commit to dates already? I thought that's what I had heard.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in December, obviously, we might have already had a big ice storm by then.
Or yeah, I mean,
or
afterwards as well. Sundown.
I mean, in the global scheme of things, it's almost worth like, hey, there's an extra X $1,000 in it if you start by, September 1st or something.
Dan, that's a pretty good idea, one which I thoroughly endorse.
Offer more money.
Wait.
Move earlier.
It's a public bid.
What?
So we let this out for public bid under
It's
GML
already
102.
been public.
Correct. So we had two bidders. One didn't meet specifications. So
Right.
we had one responsible bidder. So if you in terms of renegotiating the price, you can do that. Reject and rebid, you're free to do that. That's completely within your discretion, but you can negotiate the price.
Can
with
we
the winning-
offer him an incentive to get it done faster?
Yeah, that's what he said.
The bid that met specifications is $66,000 X dollars. Okay, that's the bid price. If there's a change order with respect to additional work or extension or contraction of the contract, that's something you could do by resolution if the contract is agreed with. But first, you have to award it. So the
All right.
So if
contract
I understand,
exists.
so if I understand clearly, we have somewhat of a difficult decision on the table right here, right now, in terms of whether we're going to approve this or not.
I basically believe we have no decision.
So I
think
understand
we're
that.
in a corner
So
and we need to approve this.
yes, I understand that. How do the rest of you feel about what Peter just said?
No, I think so too. I'm just trying to throw out something that, maybe could
There's
help
no-
out.
there's- yeah,
I
there's-
like the idea until we were shut down in flames.
Well, we were shot down in flames, but we survived, I think, to some extent. Greg seems to be suggesting that once you award the contract, that there probably within some box is some room for a change order of some sort.
Yes.
So maybe
And I
that's what we
heard
have to
that.
do.
Yeah.
I think
Peter
we're-
said that too. If we feel
Okay.
comfortable going into the contract
fine.
with that agreement, then that is what it is. But that's what I'm hearing our choices this evening.
Okay, then I'm fine. I don't think we have. any
But
alternatives.
nothing prevents us from going back and say the board had a discussion and we would like to bring this data closer and have a tighter schedule.
But we have to do that after we award the
But we've got to award the
Yeah.
contract.
The problem is you have a problem with your essential terms in this agreement. It doesn't commit to a start date. It doesn't commit to a completion date. This is no different as a practical matter. I will come paint your house. I'll start at some time no
Yes.
later than X, and it doesn't say when you'll finish.
But if only one company
agree with
wants
Rick.
to paint your house and you need to get it painted, you're in a corner.
So
I have a separate question for Greg. On the insurance requirements that we have under the Schedule A, is that, in your experience, is that pretty uniform among the municipalities? The reason I bring it up, I just think about, we have the Fairmont Road, the proposal that's out there that we approved a while back. And the issue as far as bringing that across the finish line, as I understand, is the insurance requirements. That the GBHO can't meet the insurance requirements, so that's why that hasn't been finished up. And that's why we don't have a pocket park under development in Wild Oaks. So what we have here is, we have $2 million CGL policy, which makes sense, and a 5 million umbrella. Is that standard in your experience?
Largely, yes. And they'll also required for workers' comp, motor vehicle, and New York State disability, whereas on the pocket park, it would be a straight liability policy. And I don't necessarily think that the respect to the 5 million umbrella would be necessary. I don't think that when I had sent that out, that was the high. I think it was 1/2. 1 million over 2 million was the max. But they're obviously in a different, the tree felling is inherently riskier.
Yeah, just
business, so the limits are generally higher.
One's a private commercial business and one's a volunteer organization.
right. It just maybe
Civic organization.
not tonight, but maybe we could swing back. I'd like to see that the pocket park move forward. I don't want an onerous insurance requirement for something that should be a minimal risk to prevent that from happening. But
I
that's
can tell
for
you-
another time.
I can tell you that I drove these roads and the trees are marked. So it isn't hard to see which trees they're going to take down. And they're not easy. They are going to be very tough trees to take
Well,
down, a lot of them.
The only issue that's open here is Rich's concern, and I think, if we can get somewhere on that, that's fine. We seem to have not many alternatives, and then but if we can sort of negotiate things after the fact and make progress, that would be desirable.
Well, I guess we have flexibility because I'm not seeing any payment terms reflected in this agreement. So do we have flexibility, Greg, as far as how we make the payments?
Usually within 60 days. Usually within 60 days of it being vouchered is, I would confirm that with Leo's office, but that's generally how it's done. Okay. It's not in advance. They're going to submit on the
Right, I'm wondering
contract.
if we have, in other words, if we have flexibility that we're not giving an incentive, but we're making payment earlier in the contract progress. That maybe that helps things to get them moving.
The sum is authorized. You
Isn't
just have
that
to
the
ensure that the
way
work is
I-
done for the sum that's quoted, right? So not to exceed. It's not a unit cost contract. So
In other words, a healthy down payment at an early fine, if that helps.
There's lots of creative solutions we could do afterwards.
And incidentally, if somebody walked into the highway department now and said, I would like to bid on that contract, they could very easily gives them 3 or 4 more roads to go and work on.
Right. I mean, this,
It is not as if we've run out.
as
of
Jane said, there are potentially creative solutions, except we have no way to commit them to following. That's the problem.
I agree with you. We are in full agreement here. However, I think we need to move forward, and I think Peter has what he needs to move forward for a vote.
Well, I move that we authorize the supervisor to sign the contract with Homestead as presented, or better if you can get it.
I think that Peter Rip actually signs the contract. So I will second that.
Okay, substitute as amended, Peter. You have it.
Discussion? When we had it.
Well, as highway liaison, I'll see if I can, they like a particular cup of coffee. I
Well,
could bring the
let's talk
highway
about it.
people to get moving on it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. I've got a resolution to approve an increased Miller entryman.
I didn't say I. I'm going to think no.
Okay.
Thank you.
To approve increased Miller Elementary School parent-teacher organization fundraiser at Fox Valley and waive the fees for that.
A second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I have a
What was
resolution.
it? I'm sorry, what was the last vote?
I abstained from that vote.
Okay.
Not from increased Miller, from the tree.
I fully support the increase in RPTO.
I've got a resolution approving the steering committee funding, funding request for up to $2,000 for a town-wide mailer.
This is the comprehensive plan steering committee.
Yes, sorry, I
It's
didn't,
not
I
on
missed
the-
that
It's not
out.
in the resolution.
So moved.
Discussion? Or second discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have another steering committee resolution, which requests that ACCA, the planning board, the town board, and the zoning board review the steering committee's RFP for consulting services and get that done. It's in the letter, I think, by the 26th of the month.
Does the steering committee want that, or that's required, or?
Steering committee wants our input.
Okay, that's what the steering committee wants on this?
Yes.
Okay, so moved.
Does that process wise, does that require us to refer it over to them, or can they?
No,
ask those
they
different-
will refer to each of those parties. And
So
we
we're-
need to do our job and read these 14 pages or whatever they are and decide if we have comments on them.
Okay.
Sorry,
But the
12.
steering, but the steering committee is to send and make this formal request to
Yes.
the boards. Okay.
So moved.
Discussion?
Second, any second?
Oh, a second discussion. Jane,
No, sorry, go ahead.
all in favor?
Aye.
I have a resolution to approve AAA's application for a license to collect and dispose of refuse and recyclables. Can somebody make that motion?
Have they been with us before or?
Yes, they collect my
This
garbage.
is a standard yearly.
Okay, any issues, any complaints, any concerns with them that anybody knows about?
Okay.
Okay, so moved.
Discussion? Oh, so moved. Second. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
I'd like a resolution to approve Oak Ridge Haulers application for a license to collect and dispose of refuse and
Same
recyclables.
question, Janet, no problem?
No complaints about
Okay. Good.
Thank you.
So moved.
Second, discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
I've got an add-on when we pass the outdoor, outdoor event, outdoor special events and sales. We apparently, although Janet gets the money, we have to approve it. Quite honestly, this is Oak Ridge, which is the easiest of these because they have got 3 vast parking lots and can easily accommodate it. They are also, they've got the cooperation of the fire department, which is immediately opposite. And they also have they were bringing in porta johns and
That's a single day.
and it's a
Tell the
single
people what
day.
it is. Tell the people what it is. What are you
Yeah,
talking about here?
Advertise it.
Oh, I should advertise it.
No, just tell, I mean, I would imagine people are thinking, what do you do?
It's an event that's being held at Oak Ridge Commons.
Oktoberfest on
Oktoberfest.
October 9th at Oak Ridge
Okay.
Commons.
Jane is looking forward to a beer.
No, no.
I don't believe
I
the
don't
nose.
drink beer. Or at all.
All right.
So I move that we approve the application for outdoor event submitted by the Oak Ridge Shopping Center. October 9th.
Second discussion.
My understanding, this is pulled by Copia and Farmers Grind. There's no time issue or conflict with anything. That's my understanding. Everything's copacetic there. Copia, copacetic, right? Okay.
Copia,
Please.
do we do an all in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
I would like to move on to the second public comment period. Does anybody wish to comment?
Hello, Carol Cernak, Farby Farm, South Salem. I think it's really sad that the town is in a position with this tree work that needs to be done, that you're backed into a corner. However, it's by your own doing. Hickory Homes, that had been operating at the Salt Dome. That pile of timber was brought in by them and their subcontractors after they were requested not to bring in any more lumber. So to make it sound like you're in a bind because you've done everything right, you're not. This is you've all backed yourself into a corner here. The other thing I would like to say is, what is the maintenance agreement that's happening with the piles at the Salt Dome? It's flammable material if it's not managed properly. And any talk about that? That's all I want to say.
Thank you. Somebody else?
Being that I'm a big believer in small democratic ways, you're going to need 616 signatures. So you better get 700 and you better get them fast. It's going to be tough, but I think you can do it. Thank you.
Somebody else? Name and Hamlet.
Jim O'Connor, Vista. I know that you're gonna do 50 trees, but how about doing it piecemeal? And doing only 25, 10, 15 at a clip and get local guys to do it instead of a big company. And second of all, if you earmark the trees as dangerous, if they happen to fall during a storm, God help it that it falls on a car, hurts a child, hurts somebody, is the town responsible for that?
Anybody else? Janet? Oh, sorry, I didn't see. I'm sorry.
Hi, I'm Heather Lackey, Lewisboro, Katona part of Lewisboro. I just wanted to say, I have petitions. I somehow find myself in the position of having the petitions. I'm sort of half-heartedly trying to get signatures just because everybody said they wanted it to be on the ballot. So I had petitions drawn up and I have them. So if anybody wants to sign them to get it on the ballot, I have them. You can find me on Facebook or you can find me here. Let's see, yeah, that's about it. So if you want to sign it, just let me know. Thanks.
All right, I'd like to close this public comment period. Do I have a second? Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion to approve claims. Do I have a second? Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
I would like to announce that the next town board meeting will be Monday, August 23rd, 2021 at 7:30 right here, which is the Lewisboro Library. I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session. Oh, yes. I don't know. Oh, it was at the bottom of the page and I missed it. I'd like to pull the board.
Start over there.
Oh, all right. I was just about to do ladies first.
Please start over there.
Rich.
Good evening. I was trying to remember Heather's number, Heather's telephone number for contact.
Here it is.
What is it? You have a contact number?
It's Chris Burdick's office.
No.
Sure. Okay. Well, it'll come to me in a minute. The company, so move on. Lose the company. Okay. Few quick things. Grant Advisory Committee that we've got underway. We're going to be interviewing someone and hopefully have our third member. So we have openings for 2 more. Please, anybody interested in the community, please forward a letter of interest. We want to get that Grant Advisory Committee fully operational and running. September 18th is our library fair. Please sign up and volunteer. And it's a great day. It's a great event for our community. Please do so. And if you want to help me with parking, please, I need help. Scouts, great opportunity for that. Need some people helping on that for parking. I think there's a meeting tomorrow night that you can participate in. I think there's a meeting here tomorrow, 5 o'clock at the library, or you can go online. Please volunteer. Big event coming up this week, South Salem Carnival. Make sure you come out and participate. I'm pretty sure any food or drink that you have will be calorie free. I think the South Salem Carnival worked that out to come out and enjoy it. It's a community event. Last, I just
I
want.
doubt that last statement.
Last, and this is a serious point, I put a post on Facebook. And I've been thinking about this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 credible people who have talked about allegations of sexual harassment with the governor. I think it's time for them to resign.
Tony.
A couple things. So first of all, the Lewisboro Playground Committee, they held another fundraiser this past Friday. It was a third, well-attended, great community event. A lot of people came out for that. So please, if anyone does not know about this group, you should find them on Facebook, website, donate to their cause. And they're also having an Oktoberfest on October 16th, I believe.
Correct.
But there will be more information forthcoming on that. So kudos to those folks who have spearheaded this effort. They've done a tremendous job. Very proud of them. Second event, save the date for the Vista Fire Department. They're going to be holding a 9/11 ceremony at the Vista Firehouse on 9/11 at 10 a.m. And the day before, Friday, September 10th at 6 p.m., they're going to be providing food, ice cream, and fire truck rides, and collecting funds for the Tunnels to Towers Foundation. So make sure you put that on your calendar, September 10th, 6 p.m., and then September 11th, 10 a.m. I think it's the fire department. And this information will go out via email blast between now and then as a reminder. So thanks to this fire department. That's all I have.
Just one thing to note. Oops. I think somebody made the comment about the being able to make comments after a particular agenda item. And I will say that at least one municipality that I sat in on the board meeting just actually last week, that was what they were doing. And after a particular agenda item, they do then offer for people to make comments then. And I would still say we have to keep it the same format where we're taking your input. We're not, open up for dialogue, although I think we have to think about, if there are major questions that are brought up, perhaps, we take the input, close it off, and we go back and make final comments, which may respond to some of those things. But not that we have to make a decision now, but we think there is some logic to that. And, maybe that would not be the final, the second public comment period, we could save time. That way people had a chance along the way. So something to think about.
Jen.
So I just wanted to see that I think we ran a pretty good meeting tonight. So I thank all the participants and I thank my colleagues, and it wasn't perfect, but I definitely think we ran a pretty decent meeting tonight. So thank you. The Lewisboro Town Park Playground Improvement Project seems to have the interest of the whole community. It's so nice to have these kinds of projects that just everybody can get behind, which is what it seems like we're there now, and that's fantastic. And the woman leading it, who would never take all the credit, she has a little army, but the woman leading it is Valerie Kinkro. And it is her heart and soul and her work that has gone into this project. And their website is lewisboroplayground.com. The steering committee, the reason that we, so one of the reasons that we approved some money for a mailer is to get people to please take the survey. There will be a QR code on the mailer. They're looking at a postcard, the most fiscally responsible way, and like a visually nice thing to send out to capture people's attention. But the survey is on the website. So for anybody listening, please do go onto our website, look at the comprehensive steering committee portion of our website, and please take the survey. It could probably take you 45 minutes, but it shouldn't take more than 5 or 10. For the Lewisboro Library Fair, please join us even if you can't volunteer, because we do need to call volunteers, but it's also really important that you feel welcome to come, even if volunteering isn't in it for you this year, because people are busy with, so please come. Don't feel like, if you don't volunteer, you can't come. But I would ask that there are volunteer day drop-offs. They're on Saturdays in August, but to get the information, go to the Lewisboro Library website and please check what they need. Because for the people who do volunteer, it gives them extra work when you bring stuff that they didn't ask for. So you don't necessarily have to volunteer, but please do come and please be mindful of our volunteers who are working really hard. The South Salem Fire Department Carnival is one of the first events that we attended as a family when we moved here 6 years ago. It's a very special thing. I'm really looking forward to it. And the parade is on Wednesday, this Wednesday, 8/11, and it starts at 6 p.m. 7 p.m. Okay, and then it starts at 6 or 7 p.m., but maybe you check on that. And then I think that at this point, the board, I'm going to take a moment to thank our Assembly member, Chris Burdick, because he has, 7 it is. It's definitely 7. Because he has really stepped up for our community in the last 2 weeks, what with Matthew Golia's statement, and attending our Lewisboro Town Park Playground Improvement Project and working with us on that to try and get some funding. And so I think that I would like to take this opportunity to thank him and acknowledge his good work on behalf of the town of Lewisboro.
Okay, a couple of things. First of all, can the Katona Lewisboro Times do me a favor?
He's looking at you, Mr.
That's Tom
Berkeley.
Barley.
Can you do me a favor and include the drop-off dates in any article you write on this meeting? Drop-off of stuff at the library?
Maybe you could talk to Elena, who would have
At the
details.
library, not at the library, but on a true for the library fair. It's bad of me. I should have the dates at my fingertips. I don't.
Elena's right there. She can.
We have a library trustee in the house.
You know them?
14th, 21st, and 28th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Onatru Farm Park. But please do look on the website for what they're accepting. It might be a little bit different this year.
Tom, can you do that for me? I mean, not look on the website, I meant include those dates.
Thank you.
Next, bad news. We are up to 24 cases again of the virus in Lewisboro. We have been quite some time at 1, 2, and 0. We've suddenly leapt up to 24. We're not alone. So has most of the county. Not leapt up to 24, but has seen a pretty dramatic increase. There are a couple of things we can do about it. I'm going to discuss with the town board how we need to make masks mandatory when and if in town buildings. I am secondly going to encourage everybody to get everybody in their family vaccinated. It is fantastic that Cross River zip code has got a 95% vaccination rate. There is absolutely no reason why South Salem zip should have a mere 70% when the county as a whole is up to 80. Now that includes the poorest areas of the county and the most difficult areas to reach. But South Salem is not a difficult area to reach. It is not poor by the standards of the county, and we are down to a 70%. You should also, Walkerbuck is 85%, Golden's Bridge is 82%. I'd like to see the lowest figure in the town be at 80, 85. I don't see why we can't do that. We're an intelligent community. There are certain people who have good reasons not to get vaccinated, whether they may be religious and they may also be that they're suffering from various problems, which means that the doctor says don't. But apart from that, there is very little reason not to get vaccinated.
Also, on the, one of the Sunday news shows I was watching, they were talking about hopefully that they'll have FDA approval of the vaccine, hopefully by, shooting for the end of the month. So hopefully that will dissuade certain people's concerns on that. So hopefully that comes to fruition.
Well, it will also allow children to be vaccinated. All right, thank you all very much. I'd like to adjourn to executive session, a motion to second in order to interview a candidate for a committee.
Thank you.
All in favor?
everyone.
Aye.